You know Vietnam is dead serious. Each handshake corners the CCP in a little more. Trace your supply chain or pay a 46% tariff. Illegal and ignored. That cocktail forced China to answer. We dare you. For Vietnam's leaders, tough talk is no longer optional. It gives the CCP a fresh migraine. Vietnam's answer stunned everyone. Self-defense. There is no option C. Vietnam has had enough. After years of watching Chinese ships inch closer to its coastline, today Hanoi pushed back hard. Vietnam has told its Navy to lock the supersonic missiles on any Chinese ships that sail too close. The message is simple, loud, and impossible to miss. Back off or get hit. In today's video, you will see how a small nation turns island rocks into airstrips, protests into national policy, and trade deals into bulletproof shields. One thing is crystal clear. Vietnam is done playing nice. So let's get started. The chain reaction started early this year when Vietnam and Indonesia publicly ratified a historic and strategic agreement that drew a maritime boundary that slices across China's 9-dash line. First legal flag of the year. First direct challenge. This means we challenge outdated claims and are willing to redraw maps on paper or on water, whether you like it or not. And the chain reaction continued. In April this year, Vietnam greenlit a 24 F-16 Viper jets order, its largest US arms deal ever. Believe it or not, Vietnam is not buying 24 fighter jets in order to create a new destination route to Disneyland, Florida. This means business. China retaliated. On May 1st, its Labor Day weekend, China reissued its annual 3-month fishing ban that blankets waters that Vietnamese skippers have been using for generations. Vietnam didn't blink. On May 15th, South Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Pham Thu Hang, during a routine press briefing, turned into a primetime moment, saying that the ban is illegal, void, and ignored. A few days later, French President Emmanuel Macron arrived in Hanoi. The visit was supposed to be around railway links and climate projects, but when he stepped off the plane, he was slapped by his wife, probably telling him that he's not here in Vietnam just to eat bánh mì. Sensing the moment, he levels up ties for a comprehensive strategic partnership, something that France has not done with any other Southeast Asian country. Vietnamese television replayed this every single hour. And finally, momentum peaked when an Indian defense reporter leaked that both foreign ministries have politically cleared a BrahMos purchase of supersonic missiles that were worth about $700 million. You know Vietnam is dead serious when they start buying supersonic missiles. And these are not just for the 4th of July fireworks. For China, a Mach 3 message has just become very real. That news is so massive, I had to make a whole video about it. My name is Ken Duong, international business attorney with over 16 years of experience helping individuals and companies relocate all over the world, especially here in Vietnam. So in one sprint, Vietnam secured air power, European backer, mass public support, and missile deterrent. That cocktail forced China to answer. Would China test that new red line? Spoiler, yes. And Vietnam's answer stunned everyone. China's answer was on June 15th. 2 Chinese destroyers and 1 surveillance jet flew close to Vietnam's oil air block, announcing a routine sea-air patrol. Translation, we dare you. But why the hair trigger? Vietnamese history books always open with a millennium of Chinese colonization. All Vietnamese are taught about the Trung sisters, Ly dynasty, and of course the 1979 border war. 2 outsiders wondering why Vietnam does not tolerate another inch of encroachment. The 1,000-year occupation timeline explains everything. So, to counter China's provocations, the only answer is self-defense. Vietnam is also rebuilding its military. Aside from purchasing the Mach 3 supersonic missiles and the F-16 fighter jets, Vietnam also bought a Spider air defense system. Suddenly, every Chinese frigate within 150 nautical miles of Vietnam's shores is within its floating minefield. Vietnam also transformed rocks in the middle of the ocean into military islands. Since November 2023, Vietnam has added 700 acres of new land. The Barca Canada Reef has a 3-kilometer strip long enough for fighter jets, fuel depots, and radar domes. China once assumed that Vietnamese boats would run. Now every Chinese captain has to ask, is that tiny reef packing supersonic firepower? Of course, having missiles is great, but facing a superpower alone is risky. Vietnam needed backup, and it got plenty. Think about it as befriending everybody to get stronger. Codename Bamboo Diplomacy. Strong but flexible. Those friends include the United States. Washington threatened a 46% tariff on all Chinese transshipments from Vietnam. Vietnam promised supply chain cleanup and in return got F-16s, Coast Guard cutters, and joint cyber drills. France. Fresh off Macron's visit to Hanoi, Paris signed a defense energy bundle and became the first EU country with a comprehensive strategic badge that's supplying drones, satellites, and green energy cash. Japan and the Philippines invite Vietnam for joint naval drills, turning separate patrols into a united picket line. ASEAN, Indonesia and Vietnam's new boundary politely erases China's 9-dash line. Quiet, but devastating. Each handshake corners the CCP in a little more, and China knows it. But the squeeze is not only military, it's financial. Well, we spent a lot of time outside. Let's hop back into the office. Washington's rule is simple. Trace your supply chain or pay a 46% tariff. Vietnam responded by purging Chinese transshipments, signing $2 billion worth of American foreign products, and watching foreign direct investment jump 51% in the first 5 months of 2025, amounting to $18.4 billion. Apple built and expanded its iPad lines in Backdown. Intel doubled down on its chip packaging facility and invested another $1.5 billion into the Saigon High-Tech Park. Lego opens a $1.3 billion solar-powered mega factory and promises 4,000 jobs. Every new line equals fewer Chinese jobs and more Vietnamese leverage shines. Talk about shiny. China CCP hates the sunlight, and this channel is pure UV. Its mouthpieces say we are shameless anti-China propaganda. But for us, it's probably our favorite trophy. We don't do politics, we do geopolitics. As international business lawyers, we decode the power plays so you know that whether Vietnam is a boom or a bust. That research takes time, data dives, and way too much coffee. Your single click powers the next content that you won't hear anywhere else. Smash subscribe, it takes 1 second, it costs nothing and feeds the algorithm. Plus, it gives the CCP a fresh migraine. And definitely subscribe and click on the bell for notifications because we're about to drop a massive update on the US-Vietnam tariff trade deal. So you have economic deals and you have social deals as Vietnam is preparing its youth. Late May is usually exam season, but in Da Nang, the city organized a powerful demonstration tapping into the youth, spelling out Hoàng Sa, Trường Sa là của người Việt Nam. State TV's drone film tapping into the surging patriotic pride. That same evening, Channel 1 replayed the 1988 Johnson South Reef skirmish. Ratings set a yearly record, influencers cut snippets, added modern beats, and pushed the videos on TikTok. For 3 days, hashtag boycott China products were trending #1 across Vietnamese social media. For Vietnam's leaders, tough talk is no longer optional. It's survival. China could not ignore crowds or airstrips, yet its answers have sharp limits. People want results. There is no option C. Expect more patrols, cheap loans to Cambodia, and editorials blaming Western puppets. Yes, the risks to Vietnam are real. Electronics continue to cross in the Guangdong province. Reef dredging can nuke a coral reef faster than a depth charge. Yet, Vietnam's plan is not to fight head-on. It is to raise the cost of every Chinese step. Part of that plan is to make China less necessary every single day. Vietnam told Huawei, no thanks, and is rolling out its own 5G gear, teaming up with the US, Japan, and Korea on cybersecurity drills after a surge in China-linked hacks. Next step, homegrown chips. Vitel Labs tapes out its first Vietnamese IoT microcontroller, aiming to cut Chinese imports by 2027. Energy tells the same story. 12 giant solar farms feed the grid. Offshore turbines feed the grid. Less coal from China means fewer strings attached. Europe loves it. Green tech grants are flowing to Vietnamese battery plants instead of Chinese ones. Zoom out and Vietnam's pushback becomes everyone's playbook. Philippine senators name drop Vietnam's BrahMos deal, while also facing their own coast defenses. Jakarta cites the Hanoi-Jakarta Treaty whenever China waves around the 9-dash line map. Even international experts are saying that with every Vietnamese airstrip in the Spratlys, it reduces the risk calculation for the world's busiest sea lane. Yet, the more progress Vietnam shows, the louder the online troll screams. To the common warriors typing CIA mouthpieces, relax. Facts are not propaganda. First, nearly every claim you've heard, missile orders, loan figures, phishing bans, can all come from official documents or satellite imagery that can be verified by anyone. Second, the criticism is on the Chinese government policy and not the Chinese people. Accountability has no flag or ethnicity. So, Intel's extra $1.5 billion line, Nvidia's coming AI server plants, Lego solar-powered campus, corporations are not leaving China out of spite. They are chasing stability, lower wages, and terror-proof paperwork. If your company wants in, our team of experts sets up entities, sources compliant suppliers, and gets you through the visa maze. Which circles back to the opening question. Has Vietnam forced China to back down? Vietnam just fired a treaty-backed, crowd-funded Mach 3 warning across China's shores. Wins, stronger alliances, booming green investment, and a missile inventory that will make Chinese admirals sweating. Risks, reef damage, parts dependency, and a dragon with an elephant memory. Yet the biggest shift is psychological. For decades, Southeast Asian capitals nodded whenever China flexed. If one courageous middleweight forces a heavyweight to wobble, the entire undercard starts to fight heavier. So where does this roller coaster go next? Watch the 3 pressure points. 1. Tariff clock. If Washington slaps the 46% tariff on non-trace goods, expect an even bigger factory exodus south of the border. 2. Spratly runways. As soon as the first Vietnamese Su-30 lands in the Barca Canada reefs, the Chinese lawyers will run out of euphemism. 3. Energy independent. The day that Vietnam's grid tips majority renewable, China's coal diplomacy loses its spark. Which punch hurts the CCP most? Missile supersonics? Tariffs? Or ASEAN unity? Drop your comments below. So on behalf of Duong Global, my name is Ken Duong. Thank you very much for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.